Oh, that would be good
Hi,
too, if you
June.
could email it.
Yeah, email it to
And we'll
us.
share it with everybody.
June, are you feeling good? Are you feeling okay?
No,
Oh, who's your friend?
this is my new adopted dog, Bumble.
Oh, I love them.
He's the
Like-
guy without the tongue.
Oh.
He has no tongue?
He has no tongue. Somebody cut it out for him.
Aw, Bumble.
Good morning.
I'm sure he has a great personality.
Happy birthday.
He does.
Wait, it's your birthday?
It's her birthday today.
I love her. You look great. And then are we still waiting on Eliana or?
No, she's not gonna be able to come.
Okay.
And I don't know if Joe Twan is away.
Oh. There he is.
That's
It's okay.
We're taking it casual today.
Very important, so we don't mind at all.
You guys go, do you want to grab?
Food?
Sorry, yeah, I was here. Yeah, health wise, okay.
Do you want something too? There's a bunch of
We have a lot of food.
Please
My grandmother.
have food.
Has autism.
Wait, out.
Or not autism.
There's so much.
So, and it's like early stages,
Yeah.
but slowly but surely, you know. It's hard. It's very hard.
I lost my mind. December,
I'm sorry.
I think whatever you think is,
I'm so sorry.
the one.
let's see. We did
Yeah, like.
10 or so minutes. Is that okay?
Titusville, Florida.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I was just, Amy, it was funny to me and my partner were just talking about going and seeing her this weekend.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna go see her this summer.
First, you know.
I think
to
it's
that,
just
so-
notes. I mean, just if they have.
Project Virgin. Is it day or month?
Month, right?
Oh, okay.
Whole month, right?
The whole month
Mm.
of April. Okay.
Joe Twan, do you want to grab some food?
Yeah, I will real quick.
Yeah.
Apologies for being a little bit late. Yeah, I saw that spread.
Did I hear that it's somebody's birthday?
Sylvia.
Sylvia's birthday.
Sylvia,
She looks like it's her birthday. She's great.
happy birthday.
She's 21.
21, yes.
For you this morning, yes?
I'm good, yeah. I have so many things to pack up because I have to come here and later we have like a ski day with the youth
Oh, nice.
in Breck, luckily. So it was like with my board and my shoes. Okay, this is a lot, but it's fun. I'm excited to go with them, with the Mountain Mentor youth.
How many?
I guess we're gonna go around with like a 26 youth.
Okay.
Yeah, we're like 5 adults, so I hope everything works well.
Yeah.
Sometimes we had some accidents in the past, but it's a really nice
Is it voluntary? Well, never mind. You guys are going skiing? I can't
month.
volunteer for that. I don't ski. But if you need any other things. let
But
me-
we have people who stays in the base.
Yeah.
So for youth that is like, okay, this is too much for me.
Yeah, they're
I'm
over it.
old," They
Mhm.
stay there. And we have
That's
like
where I
snacks
can come in
and
handy.
everything, and someone who's be there, you know.
Yeah.
And they can do like fun activities there over there too, like a play around, like cards games or
Yeah.
any other things.
Absolutely. I love that.
This is a spring break for them.
Yeah.
So they are out of school. So we
Mhm.
provide like events for them.
Whole day. Yeah. I love that.
And they go to the hut, to Francis' cabin, on Wednesday. So that's cool.
I don't know where that is. I love that.
Do you want to kick us off?
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call to order Breckenridge Social Equity and Advisory Commission meeting for April 15th.
Joe Twan Daniels.
Present.
Here.
Me, here.
Eliana Crab. She's absent. Sylvia Vicuna.
Here.
June Walters.
Here,
Lori Morocco. She's absent. Carol Sade. Absent. Isura Cirillo. And Chair Jordan Burns.
And then we have the discussion and approval of the agenda from last month.
Motion to approve.
Last month, right? Motion to approve. from College.
Seconded. Oh, sorry, I can't second and.
I'll second.
Thank you.
And then an approval for the minutes from last month, March 18th.
Motion to approve. Seconded.
And then for this month, our first thing is gonna be our equity blueprint partner meeting notes that we asked for last month. So we have those in this packet, and there are a lot of really helpful ideas if we've all gotten a chance to read through them. A lot I think we can work more within our subcommittees.
Mhm.
Does anybody have any more comments on those or want to talk more about the community partner meetings? I know Joe Twan, myself were there. Scott was there. So I think in person, it was a lot of really good feedback and it was a really fun event to have. And I look forward to doing something again like that in the future.
I'll continue to communicate with a few of the individuals that we've met, setting up little meetings and relationships and stuff, but it's interesting to see how we all kind of run in the same sort of circles.
That's awesome. And then we do have, yes, you were there as well,
Mhm.
right, for our community partner meeting?
No, I couldn't.
Okay.
attend.
I was.
Cool. Well, if no one has any more comments on that, I'd love to move right into Yes's presentation for today.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here. So my presentation is about what is communities that care. Have you ever, any of you have heard about what is communities that care? So Communities That Care is a great initiative founded by Colorado Department of Public Health and Environmental. And the good part of this is like Communities That Care is created like in Washington in 1970s. And the idea and why it's important and why CDPHD founded is because they wanted like the problems and the solutions comes from the community.
Mhm.
So the idea here is what we have is like we're gathering together different stakeholders that we call, that is different community members, and also people who works in different like, I don't know, nonprofits or perhaps business to get in together and talk about like youth health, specifically about prevention. But when we talk about youth health and prevention, we have to think like what does it mean youth? What age means youth? So when we talk about youth, it's like youth is from 10 to 24 years old. And when we talk about prevention, we have to know like, okay, so we also have to, if we want to talk about prevention, this prevention has to be since they're really very little. So we also focus like in really like a kids or 0 to 10, all the kids, but also we want the families to thrive because part of have a good environment where they grow up is also part of the prevention. So this is kind of Communities That Care. And then how we choose our problems, our solutions. So we go to our Colorado Healthy Kids data. Any of you are familiar what does it mean Colorado Healthy Kids data? Okay, so the schools send a survey to, the Colorado Department send a survey to different school districts, and the youth has, every 2 years, the youth have to do this survey. And it's about like kind of like a social determinant of health, and also like a health question, but also like their relationship about drugs, or if they have a trusted adult, or if they have smoked vaping in the last 30 days, those kind of things that give us like a sense of, oh, how is our youth community here? So after that, we choose like, okay, what are the things we're lacking and what is a problem, and what are the things we're doing well? And then we choose with the community, and also we choose with our adult community, but we also have a youth community called Youth Empowerment Society of Summit. That is a high schooler group.
Mhm.
So we present this data to them, we present this data to the youth, and it's like, okay, what do you think about it? So if you can see, like the data is complete, like the information that the adults tell us is completely different like the youth tell us. Like the priorities from the adults are different for the youth. And if we are gonna make a programs for youth, we also want to have youth in the table because youth have told me so many times, like, yes, this is not gonna work. No one is gonna read that. It's like, oh, okay, so what are your suggestions? It's like, yeah, just put like an image. It's like, oh, okay. And actually that works. Like youth boys mothers, and they're like really good into I don't know, advocates for themselves and for their peers. So this is like Youth Empowerment Society group. And then when we choose our risk and protective factors, actually we did last year, we decide like these are our risk factors are everyone belongs, that address racist oppression and underlying systemic conditions. And in order to do that, we're like doing also with Tano Silverton, and we can start like also partnership with Tano Bragg about like these technology trainings. They basic technology trainings for like Latino communities. And this is really great because, there is a really gap in the technology in the populations. And I've noticed is like we sometimes talk in these terms like, oh, scan this QR code. And they're like, what is a QR code? How I can scan this thing? So these are really important, especially we're like using this term and we think like, oh my God, this is really obvious, but it's not. So that's been really great. We also were everyone, we're planning to do also training for equity. And we also will have partnered with like Tano Brecht because you're doing a great job with equity. We have like everyone thrives, that is like the risk factor economic insecurity. As you know, here economic insecurity is a big thing. So how we address the economic insecurity, we have family, friends, and neighbor providers. Are you familiar with that? So it's like a childcare providers that they do not have license. For example, a grandma, for example, a neighbor that they want to take care of the youth, but we want them to have like the knowledge of how you can take care of the youth. So we can provide like a training, CPR trainings, or like safety sleep trainings, and we partnership with early childhood options. Because we think like, childcare is a big problem. And we know like there's a lot of families that also operate this business with no license. Yeah. So we think it's like a transparent the situation and help them. Yeah, and the other that we have is called like pathways that the school has. Is like how we can do like a meaningful internship or to the youth in order to they know what they would like it in the future. So we also are working on that with the school district. Then we have everyone is connected, that address the risk factor. And this is not a risk factor, it's a protective factor, community opportunities for pro-social involvement. That is everything, all the activities after school, like what we do after school and what do activities after school matters. So then we got in together, the youth also help with this process. And it's like, okay, how we want to do it, like more communication, more activities in this way. For example, more things for you to, if they want to go and do a snowboard. So we're trying to also get information of all the community, all the community members who actually do after school programming, and we want to do like a big calendar, and we're working on like giving more information to parents. So I don't know if you're familiar with the Thrive coordinator. So the Thrive coordinator, she trying to gather all the after school activities, and we go into a meeting and we're trying to solve like, okay, how many spots do you have available for the summer? How many you can give us for those? And then we can figure it out for how many are, what is our demand. And the last one is everyone is healthy, who address the risk factor early initiation of substance use that the youth say that is really important. So right now we're getting together with nurses and with the school district and with other members from other rural resource communities and talk about, okay, this is a problem with another rural resource communities. So how you have been addressing it? They're like, we have a curriculum, like a prevention curriculum. So, okay, what curriculum are you using? So we're like in the research about like what is the best curriculum and what this, like how we gonna put this curriculum into the school and why this curriculum is important. So right now we're trying to think about different curriculums and researching and think like this is really important. As the high schoolers said, like, yes, we're high schoolers. We don't need prevention, we need intervention. If you need prevention, you should start like in middle school or earlier. So yeah, I mean, this is great because then when I talk with another rural resort communities, they're like, yeah, we start like in 5th grade. It's like, oh, that's great. Like some of them, it's like, we start in 3rd grade. It's like, oh, wow. So yes, and the most important here with what we work with their youth community, there's Youth Empowerment Society of Sami to address all these things. They do like a great, nice campaigns. They also participate like in like a marketing campaigns. They also participate in like interviews. For example, they have an interview with KUNC, like the NPR radio, about what they need here, and the youth work in different like projects for them is like what is important for you to work. And they told me at the beginning of the school year, will be super great to do like one training for teachers, how they can better support students and how they can better understand that. So we did that with a youth panel, so youth can answer all these questions for the teacher. And also we did the same with the parents, and we did it in English and in Spanish. So we work in so many initiatives that they like, and actually it will be great. Yeah. And also another thing we do is like we develop like a Catch My Breath, that is a curriculum for like nicotine prevention. And they are the ones who go to 5th grades and develop this together with the school nurses. So it's a lot into the prevention and intervention and also mental health piece. And all is these communities of care. Do you have any questions here? Just summarize really quick.
I love this. I had never heard of it before. So
Mhm.
first of all, thank you for coming and like letting us know about this. I don't have any questions right at this moment, but I don't know if anybody else does.
I just have a simple one. I'm really familiar with a lot of what you're talking about. I used to be a teacher with the school district before joining Colorado Mountain College. I'm actually working with the college along with the school district. Speaking towards one of the things that you just mentioned, making sure that our youth have adequate options for when they finish high school, post-secondary readiness. Is it entering into the workforce? What can we do to get them the skills that they need? Is it going to higher education? Can we get them those credits in high school so that when they graduate, at the very least, they could have an associate's degree? What are some of the conversations like between YES and the Summit School District currently?
Yeah, in our community, actually the person who is running the like after school readiness, his name is Bill.
Bill, yeah.
Yeah, he has come to the YES meetings.
Bill Gilmore?
Yes,
Yep.
Bill Gilmore.
I was just with him at a conference last week.
Yeah, no, he's great. He can come with the youth, like, tell me, what are your expectations about going to college? And, college is also a really big piece. If depends on where you come from, like if you have money, you're like, oh yeah, definitely gonna go to college. Or there's like, I don't know if I can study college, I need to work first. So I don't know, it's like a different ideas, but then how we're working is like we have youth input into there. Like, what do you think this is important? For example, they did a survey, like, okay, we're gonna do this survey for the youth. Do you think this survey makes sense? What you will add here? So we also put youth there, input into like the survey and into like how we can proceed with that. And yeah, this is how we're working right now. Like
Super
Gabriel has
exciting.
been in,
You'll probably be
conversation.
seeing me a little bit more then, because I'll be working with Bill from the college standpoint in terms of how.
That
can we
would be
support
great
them.
because Bill is great.
I'm really
Yeah,
excited.
and the
to
youth
hear
are
about that.
excited about it too.
Fired up, and I love that you guys are all about including them and making sure that their voice is a part of it.
Yeah.
Just went to got back from what was it called? Pathways to Prosperity National Conference, and I was there with Bill Gilmore along with some other individuals from Colorado Mountain College and from Summit School District. And so we're really excited about what we are hoping to start to hit the ground running with some of this work that we will probably institute with some of our youth next fall.
Yeah, and something like we're doing in that like a area with the youth also, and our like a probably Sami County government is, do we want to now open like a internship for youth, for example, to help us in the summer with running the teen center, or like a part-time. So I think that is important. And also I'm trying to open this to other like community members, like, hey, if you need a youth to help you in this, they're great. So yeah, it's just like a great initiative to have them as an intern. One question for all of you. Do you know where communities that care lives? Okay, I work for the Sami County government, and then becomes public health, and then youth and family, and I'm part of youth and family.
Okay.
Yeah.
I work for the Summit County government, so we might work in the same building.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So anything, if you need any other questions, any information, or you need like more information, I have information about Colorado Health Kit data and our risk factors and how we have like, I don't know, you can see, if you want to know more, like you're very welcome to talk to me, call to me, go and visit me in Youth and Family, and I'm happy to share this. Thank you so much for having me.
I
Oh,
have
yeah,
one
sorry.
quick question.
Yes, Silvia.
It sounds like you have a lot of the research and you have a lot of the programs starting. My question is, how are we involving the youth in this? Like, how are you partnering up, like specifically to the schools? Like, is there a specific, is it embedded in the health class? Like, how is this information actually being directly put on the youth or the student itself? It sounds like at the high school you have a club or committee that made up of high school students. What if like students aren't signing up for this specific program or clubs because they're already involved in so many other ways? Like, how are you putting this like on the middle school or elementary kids age? Like, how is this information being out? Like, I'm a parent, I have 2 children, and I know very little about this program, and I'm surprised, like, this is exactly what we need in our community. How can we get this push out so every parent knows about this? Like, does that make sense? I know
Yeah,
there's
like
a
the
lot of
information,
layers to that
how I can
question.
send information to everyone. So for the high school, we meet every other week, like twice a month, every other Wednesday at the teen center. Do you know where is the teen center? Perfect. So we met there. And we have dinner with them, like we provide them dinner and they come and talk. But we also I go to high schoolers to every, like not every classroom, but some classrooms, and we talk about there and going to the fairs because this club is just for high schoolers.
Okay.
But we have one, yes, at middle school. But this is like a more for prevention. So once a month we go in there at the after school on Wednesdays at the library, and the yes youths like have a topic like let's talk about alcohol. So, okay, we go there, we send a survey, then the kids talk about their own experience about alcohol, like the high schoolers. Like, this is alcohol and everything, and then the middle schoolers ask questions, like a kind of like a peer program, and the middle schoolers ask them questions like it's really nice because I think like the peer is more interesting because they want to listen for high schoolers and not for me. Probably they think like you're too old to tell me all these things. But for them, they ask them questions like, oh, how much is a lot of alcohol? So all those kind of questions, and they told them also in their perspective, high schoolers. And then someone came, like someone who actually have a background about like alcohol knowledge or like substance use knowledge, and they talk with the with the middle schoolers about what is alcohol and all those things and any other doubts. So yeah, we do that at middle school. But yeah, how we present to the parents is like mainly in middle school and high school first and programs like, for example, in registration or any other things, but no in elementary.
Not
yet.
elementary yet. Okay.
Yeah.
I do have one question.
Yeah.
Sorry. A piece that I was thinking about is an equity piece and having a conversation with the youth about different types of equity and where they stand. I think it's really important for youth to understand that they may be starting a little bit, I guess, more privileged than their classmate. And so I think it's a great conversation to have, and understanding equity and understanding that you may be, ascribed a different life than someone else who's sitting right next to you. Does that make sense? So for instance, like I may be more subject to different things in society than you, or you just because of who I am as an African-American woman. And I think that it's important for classmates to understand where their other peers kind of lie, so that they can kind of, am I making sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sorry, it's hard for me to
you know,
Okay, but I think it's important to have a conversation with the youth about equity and how, where they fit within that equity. When it comes to things like alcoholism and when it comes to things like vaping and when it comes to things like college and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
on and so forth. Yeah.
I mean, we have had these conversations about equity in our yes meetings. We talk about what do you think, what do you think about equity? What is your meaning like? And it's great, like the youths, and also you can see that because my group is, I have worked really hard to have a diverse group, and having a diverse group, like they are not friends for each other like a lot, and it's like not a huge group like a class. So it's nice to see when, for example, the blueprint program came and asked questions and they noticed like, oh, I like to go with my car. And they're like, I grab the bus. So they notice that there are differences. And we also like a respect and trying to give the voice to everyone because sometimes some voices could be louder than others.
Absolutely.
So given that the like the right to everyone to talk about what is going on, and I know like instances and everything, we have to like bring in equity is important. However, we will like with our community board, we're trying to build a tool like the one you have, guys. I really like it. Have a tool with a couple questions that are really meaningful questions and see like who are we left in behind. It is makes sense for every youth in the school. So all these things that we're building with our community board. So if you want to be part of our community board and our equity team will be great.
Awesome.
Because we're building this in order to, in everything that we do, like the pathways or the calendars, having like this position where everyone can understand what we're doing and we actually serving everyone and we're not leaving people behind.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
I guess I had a question. You talked about internships potentially.
Yes.
I guess it would be really cool, like, maybe the town, could help, like if like the sustainability department needed interns, if kids wanted to learn more about sustainability. So before going to college, they'd have experience with what a larger town does in those efforts, or maybe even working with the BTO if they wanted to go into any type of like advertising or anything like that, and just kind of have their foot in the door just a little bit and come in with experience from what like a large scale campaign would do before like going to college and working on their own things. I think maybe some of those collaborations could be really cool. And like just because we do have Breck, Dylan, and Silverthorne, and maybe we can kind of convince all of them for some of like the facility departments if they're looking for someone. And I know my hometown had Votech, so we had kids in high school who were already becoming mechanics and things like that. So maybe even some of those departments. I don't know how much you can help depending on your age, but just to getting a better chance to work hands-on with more people in the community and more directly with some of the things that they're interested in for the future could be fun.
Those things are coming, Jordan. Yeah, definitely. Seriously, though, the conversations with the college and the school district, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
That would be great. Yeah. You need to like go ahead and post it, just put in this specific age, know that it's like a summer thing and go ahead and run it. I don't know, like maybe we can advertise also. I know like if you partnership with the high school, I know they're also willing to help with those things, promote, and then you can have like, I don't know, like the regular process, like have interviews and choose someone. But it's a great experience also for them to learn, like how we can apply, how we can do an interview. Sometimes we think it's obvious, but it's actually a skill that you have to build. And it's like a skill that would like be with you your whole life. It's important to have it.
There's a program called SOS, the Snowboard Outreach Society, and that's an awesome program where they bring in kids like really young, teach them how to snowboard or ski, and now they're implementing that. And so they're bringing, like, if you want to be a junior mentor, you come back and help with the smaller kids, and now they're doing summer internships where they do like training, like how to interview, how to do a resume for like 2-3 weeks, kind of pre-train them and then put them out in the workforce for the summer. And usually it's within Vail Resorts, which is awesome because it's a whole big circle that they can feed back and bring that local workforce back into it, which is awesome. So yeah, we could definitely talk to them and see if we can partner, or like if they already have training set up, that we could borrow some of their ideas and expand it to more than that.
Be awesome.
Yeah, and as you know, when I talk with the high schoolers, like what is important for them to learn, they always say like, it would be nice to, if we have a class about finances, how to fill out our taxes, how to we write an essay or an email. Things like for sometimes for us, it's like a kind of obvious, but for them, like they need like those kind of structures and are really important. So nice if we can go ahead and start thinking or shifting our mind also to provide help for those who actually will later will come and work in the future, in taking the decisions. So yeah, any other questions here?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Appreciate you.
If you want to send the presentation, we'll share the.
Same circle.
Oh, yeah, let me give you a card.
Doing the same sort of work.
I'm gonna invite you to the community board. Helpful, it's all helpful. Hopefully, I like that I have.
Hey, if someone of you wants to come to my next community board, is next Tuesday. I don't know when is next Tuesday. I don't have the top of my
The
head.
23rd.
The 23rd. Is the next Tuesday and the 23rd at 10:30 until noon. We will provide some food, and you can go ahead, go to the meetings, hear what we're working on, and if you're interested to join in, and more than happy to have you there.
Where is it?
Yeah, at the senior center.
When is this?
Is the next Tuesday, the 23rd. April. We met every month, once a month.
That's communities that care.
There. Yeah.
So that, they have like is that the full board meeting?
Yeah, it's the community board meeting. Yeah.
So it's a lot of different people from a lot of different areas of the community. So if you had an opportunity, I think you're always looking for more community members to be involved.
Yeah, for me, it's like community who members who wants to be involved, also who, I don't know, have an idea or things like, for example, you already work with Bill goes there, so you can meet there. Sometimes I think in the community, we have the same ideas, but we work in our own organizations, but then another organization then doing kind of like similar, exactly the same. And sometimes better to get together, let's join efforts and let's do this thing together instead of everyone competing or not even competing, no working together. So sometimes being in a small community, trying to do these things, it's better to get together. So this is an opportunity also. It's like a co-work space that you met other people. It's like, oh, that makes more sense. Like, let's do this training. Oh, I'm doing this training. Okay, so let's utilize that resources. So kind of utilize those resources and meet the same goals.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then next we'll have Simon Corso. Um, the senior planner for Summit County Government.
Hi, Simon.
Thanks very much for having me. Well, I sort of want to start, and firstly, I want this to be a conversation, so
Just so that they can hear you up in the Zoom world.
please feel free to interrupt me at any point to have a discussion about this topic. So firstly, does anyone know what a comprehensive plan is? So terrific. So, yes. That's excellent. So I guess check out that KUNC article as well about the teen empowerment. That article is a quick read and you can even listen to it online, which is a really great sort of both of our things, right? Sort of working together and how the comprehensive plan is a way to do outreach essentially. So comprehensive plan is a state requirement. So a number of high level issues that the state wants each community to delve into and talk about with their community members. So that's sort of why we do the Blueprint Summit. It's why we do our comprehensive plan, and the town of Breck has one as well. So the last comprehensive plan was in 2009. So this is our sort of 10 to 15 year outlook into our community. So the first thing we did is we reached out to a broad spectrum of folks and we started a conversation. We wanted to get the word out. Hopefully, we were successful enough to suggest that we have a comprehensive plan out right now, and it's called Blueprint Summit. So that was sort of our first goal. And maybe at this point, I'll sort of go back and just sort of suggest that our 2009 plan needs updating for a few reasons. One, for me, it's not prescriptive enough, right? So essentially, and I think it's maybe important to understand the blueprint plan sort of at the very beginning and at the very end, right? So at the very beginning, it's that broad outreach. But at the very end, it's someone applying to say, I'm going to build a sidewalk in Dillon Valley, or I want to provide additional market rate housing in Breckenridge. And then what would happen would be the applicant would apply under essentially the Land Use and Development Code, a big, boring book of regulations about land use, as well as to the Blueprint Summit Plan or the Comprehensive Plan of Breckenridge. So when they do that, and why I say the 2009 plan is maybe not so prescriptive, right? The 2009 plan does not discuss equity, and it's not particularly prescriptive about what kind of housing we're looking at. You know, at that point they say, oh, we need some more housing. We need more affordable housing, but it's not specific about certain areas. It's not particularly specific about how much, and it's not particularly direct about when and where we're going to improve it and what kind of resources that housing might need to be successful. So those are maybe some of the things that I would like to see in this next Blueprint Summit be far more specific and be far more challenging for folks to apply for, quite frankly, right? So when I review an application, which is what I do in my occupation, I need to see something really specific in our comprehensive plan to approve or deny that plan. When it's general, we're going through the motions. When it's general, most of the plans comply with these overarching plans. I think that the Blueprint Summit Plan should be just as specific as that big, boring book of land use regulations, which are extremely specific. You need 2 parking spaces, right? You need this much of pervious area on a lot. You know, these kind of things are extremely specific, and applicants must, toe the line. I think a broad community-based plan should end in those same kind of specifics. So I digressed a little bit. We've done community outreach in the schools with our youth. We've gone to different locations around the county to try and get different feedback from our population. We've gone up to the lower blue and talked with ranchers. We've convened an advisory committee, which is a broad spectrum of folks from across our community, and had meetings across the county, right? It's remarkable to me, having commuted for nearly an hour prior to moving to Summit County, that it makes a big difference who shows up if you have a meeting in Breckenridge or if you have a meeting in Silverthorne. So we've tried to use some engagement strategies to get a broad spectrum of folks. You know, right now we're sort of in the middle of this process. I think it's fair to describe it that way. We're hoping to be wrapping it up this fall. So essentially what we've done so far is we've had these broad conversations with folks, and now we've created some community-wide visions. So now these visions are meant to be high level, right? But this next part is the part I'm passionate about, where you get a little bit more specific, where a group of folks in Dillon Valley say, we want sidewalks. We think it is unacceptable that Breckenridge, and its downtown core is so well connected for pedestrians and bikes, but our community isn't. So we want to see projects and capital improvements in sidewalks connecting this street to this street, right? Or to connect a community of houses to a resource center. Maybe it's a store, maybe it's a gas station, maybe it's a bus stop, right? So these are the kind of things that we want in this next phase. And same for development, right? So we want to sort of pair our land use with our other sort of high level issues, right? So you have sustainability, how does that apply in a land use context? You have equity, how does that apply in a land use context? So I think the Dillon Valley sort of transportation example might be a good one. I think thinking through access is always a good way to sort of pair equity and land use decisions. But it could be as simple as, how do we get more affordable housing, right? I think one thing that's changed from 2009 to now is our housing market has become even more tight, and there's even less maybe affordable quote unquote housing out there. So how do we,
Inaccessible,
yeah, go ahead.
inaccessible. I said
And accessible, absolutely. So how do we get that a bit closer? Now, Summit County has just adopted some housing code rules. And one of the things we thought a lot about was, on our constrained lots, we could have less parking and we could have more housing. The cost of parking is extremely expensive. So, but if we do that, do we set up folks that are gonna work and live in our community, then not have a place to park? And is that an equitable? Is that a fair decision? So we really thought a lot about, how do we create an incentive for housing? So this would have been started at a conversation where you had, if you create one market rate house, you get one workforce house in addition on your lot, right? So if you do that, and it's just a 1-for-1, one of our concerns was you get a giant market rate house and a very small workforce housing lot. So the owner gets this benefit of another market rate unit, but under the code, they'd be allowed to create sort of a substandard workforce housing unit in addition. So how do we fix that? Well, we looked at floor area. You have to have the same amount of space for workforce housing as you do for market rate housing on a lot. And that was a way we're sort of thinking through. You know, I use that as an example of a recent, in this community, discussion about code that got into an equity lens, that got into a same standard of living for market rate house as far as workforce housing house. But I think it has a really good connection to the plan of how you might create a strategy off of a vision statement in this next phase that talks about the type of housing we want to provide for our workforce. The Summit County Housing Department has plans to make hundreds of units. What those units look like, we'll have to comply with this plan that's coming in the fall. So that's what I'm here to talk about, and want to answer any questions you might have. And hopefully I've given you sort of a high level, this is where we're at. These are some of the things that I think are important as we get into sort of the more specific part of this plan development. And the other thing I'd love to hear from you folks is, how can we do our outreach and engagement better? What are some of the other strategies that we can use? What are the communities maybe that we're missing? And how do we interface with folks? That's what I got.
Last question, what are the current strategies that you guys are using in terms of that outreach, trying to
Yeah.
get that community voice?
So we're doing, we have an online presence. So we have a tag the map exercise. We have a questionnaire 3 that will be coming out in the next couple weeks. We're also doing focus groups with the Mountain Dreamers organization.
Awesome.
We're doing some sort of targeted outreach where we're going to specific places that sort of in our first phase, and this is why comprehensive plans do it this way. We have an event in Frisco, right? We say, all right, it's the middle,
Yes.
everybody come out, and we get planning commissioners. We get people that are already involved in government.
Yeah.
And that gives us a baseline to say, all right, what are the communities? What are the areas that we're missing? So from there, we've done some targeted outreach, going to, specific areas that we know we're not hearing from folks, and hanging out in coffee shops and stores and those kind of places, right? So the other thing we're doing is going to the schools and having conversation with kids. What an interesting place we live, where, spend all afternoon talking to adults that have lived here for 2 years. And then I'll go to the school and I'll meet a bunch of people that have been here for over a decade, right? Over 18 years, right? And sometimes their perspectives are really, really what we're looking for, in the sense of looking for locals to tell us what they need and want in their community.
Mhm.
got y'all ever try like little things like meeting people at the bus stop sometimes before work, maybe riding the bus, collecting that data from the bus. That way it's not as intrusive on someone's day
Mm-hmm.
and a lot more authentic in terms of you getting that feedback.
Yeah, good
That's
idea.
something I've been trying to tap into.
Yeah,
How do
good
you
idea.
Really get the voices of the community that you need and not those that are already constantly tapped in.
Thank
Um,
you.
Appreciate that thoroughness.
I think like sometimes making more meetings for the community could be overwhelming because there is so many things going on here. But like going to their workspace and talking their lunchtime, like for example in Walmart or I don't know, in BGB, and go there and go to their tables. It's like, okay, what do you think about it? I think it's important.
It's a BGB always do, I'm not sure, but they do their monthly or quarterly meeting where all the employees go. So probably you guys can reach out and see if you
Yeah.
have a little space.
Really
because
good idea.
those-
Thank you.
Those meetings are mandatory. All the employees need to go.
Mhm.
So it's not like they're gonna meet.
Sure.
At lunchtime, they're gonna be like, ugh, I don't. But if you go to one of those.
Church, yeah, definitely.
I also think that sometimes, like, I understand what you're trying to do. So I'm like, this sounds great. But for some community members are like, that sounds so boring. Like that sounds not like nothing I want to be a part of. When in reality, like their voice is very important and needs to be heard. So like trying to make like maybe having like a coffee talk like we do and inviting like, hey, like, you know, you coffee's on us, come and hang out and talk to us. Same thing, happy hour, or you know how they host bingo and they host trivia, kind of infiltrating those areas is a good way to get like our demographic. And I mean that in the sense of like age range and occupation type and things like that may be helpful. And also it be more encouraging for the public. So the next time, you know, word of mouth, hey, I went to this thing last Wednesday. It was so fun. They gave me free coffee and you know, my voice was heard. So trying to make it a little bit more of a lighthearted thing versus like, you know, kind of a job or a chore would be super cool too.
For sure. And all those suggestions are greatly appreciated. Thank you. I think one of the things we've had a bit of success with is going to the First Fridays events, having a board in the area, right? But not you know, not sucking the life out of the room and being the only event, right? Being,
Exactly.
you know, something you can stop by and interact with while you're going to an event you plan to for a reason other than us.
Absolutely.
Is your information translated?
Yes.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
And then I guess to piggyback off the trivia idea, that's a good way to find out what the community knows already, I guess for both of you. Because then you can see like what questions people are really familiar with or not, and what information that the community should know that maybe they don't, as well.
Yeah. And the translation is, you know, it's an interesting thing, right? Because there's one thing to be translated, there's another thing to be using language that we all use, right? I mean, my staff reports are filled with planning jargon that I can write and not realize. So one of the other things we're doing is having Mountain Dreamers review that survey before it goes out, make sure the language you're using is reasonable, and even in English too, right? I mean, I can lose you with nexus and we're gonna do land use development. So, you know, we're definitely trying our very best to make this an inclusive process. You know, we want engagement from folks in middle school as well as our elders in our community. So, yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that we've worked with as a commission is like expanding on acronyms so
Mhm.
that everyone knows what they mean.
right.
Just because it's easy to, like how you're saying with like just the jargon that you use every day, like you just start to use them and kind of forget that not everyone knows what all of them mean.
Come on, the BOEC is going to the BOTC. You don't know what I mean? Come on. Yeah, so absolutely. Fair point.
I also think it would be super important. I don't know why I keep pushing this back. I think it would be super important for community members to understand like why.
Mhm.
I think it's really important to not only revise what's there, but also understand why it's systematically set up the way that it is and why it needs to change.
And yeah, adding to that is like, what is the viability to do this? It's like, how much money do you have? Are you actually gonna build a park in Dillon Valley? Or is like a dream situation? Like, good to know these things because they were like, oh yeah, I asked that like a year ago and it's nothing happened. So like also put like a realistic goals into it. It's important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well heard, right? I mean, this part of government, right? The comprehensive plan for the community can be pie in the sky and is for lots of communities. So that's where I took some time this morning to describe how maybe it can be prescriptive, right? And to some extent, that's teaching folks to come to a meeting, how to make this plan successful using the professional's experience, right? To suggest that if the plan says we want parks, well, building up another park in Breckenridge meets that goal, right? But if it says we want a park in this neighborhood that doesn't have a park, then if someone comes in and says, well, I want to make a park in Frisco, you say, well, that doesn't meet our comprehensive plan, right? So it's a really good point. I think we're still practicing, especially in the United States where this is not um, it's not the land use development code. They're separate documents.
Mhm.
That's how the state sets it up. And the state has a list of issues that they think are important that we should talk about. And we are required to do that. But we don't have to just include that list of things. We could have another issue rise to a level, and in many communities, this is sustainability, right? The state
Thanks, Scott.
at some point changed their state statute to include sustainability in the things that they think are important. Housing, same thing. One point that was not included in that list of topics. I wonder through this process if our community says, you're missing something.
Mm-hmm.
You're missing something, that we think is really important, that we want to have its own vision statement, and we want it to have, its own list of priorities. So, I encourage folks to sort of go off page, if you will, and talk about other things that may need to be included in this plan that aren't at all.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I think is kind of important that I just kind of recently discovered is having a trustable person in the room. Like Jaseni was saying about like if kids are talking to older kids, they're more willing to speak out versus to an adult. If you're going into the immigrant community, having a person that looks like them, talks like them, is from similar areas to be able to transport that information is going to be, you're going to hear a lot more that otherwise you wouldn't.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the partnership with Mountain Dreamers. And again, any other ideas that you have in that ilk, please give those to us. Also in the schools, there's a class where you have older kids working with younger kids, and we specifically partnered with that class to, sort of get to those voices that are maybe a little shy or maybe uncomfortable sharing without a peer in the room or without a slightly older mentor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I definitely think over the course of, until the fall, we'll have a lot more to give. So it'd be awesome if you shared your information so that way we can always correspond. And if any other, organization also wants that information, we can pass it on too, for partnership purposes.
Do you meet monthly?
Yeah.
Is that right? All right. So for next month, how about I share the ways to get involved and take the phase 3 survey, and the link to the website and all that I can share immediately. I wanted to ask before I depart, do you know what the comprehensive plan says for the town of Breckenridge? Is this organization included? Do you have a set of goals, things like that?
Great question. Do you know?
I do know what the plan is, but the plan is fairly old, and so you guys were not a part of it at that time. Right.
So, as I plug Summit County unincorporated, I'd have some regret not to suggest that when the town of Breck redoes their plan, that you make sure that that plan is actionable and that this organization has a set of goals and actions that you're responsible for doing.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Very important.
Thank you.
May
14.
15th? No.
I think it's the 20th.
Simon. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for
Thank you.
coming. Yeah.
The ribbons are for neurodiversity month, by the way. You're welcome.
May 20th, Simon, for the next meeting. So if you're not going to be here, that's totally fine. Are you talking about coming? Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
That's going on May 20th.
Perfect. So we'll see you then. Thank you so much.
You have really cool socks, by the way.
Thank
Nice
you.
socks.
I'll see you at work.
Socks have bicyclists on them. They're really cool.
Yeah. He's a cool dude. I have to leave it. By the way.
Then we're gonna.
Pop a few things into your agenda right here.
Yeah.
That's okay.
May 20th or right today?
No.
Oh, yeah.
So I'd love to have Flor come up and introduce herself to the group.
Yes, please.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to just, I don't remember the title.
Nice to meet you all. I love all of you. Like, some of
Thanks.
you I already know.
Good to see
so
you.
happy to
Thanks,
meet-
Floor.
But those that I'm just meeting, super cool people. I already love you. But anyway, that's another topic. My name is Flor Cruz. I am the new Spanish and English community outreach liaison, and hopefully we'll be helping you guys out in the future. Grew up in Summit County. I'm originally from Mexico City. Single mom, immigrant. Yeah, Mexico City. Yeah, so kind of love all that we do, right? The diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's everything, right? Because we all matter and every voice is important. So I'm super happy to be here and be able to help you guys. Yeah.
We're so happy to have you. So nice to meet you.
Very excited for you to join our team.
Thank you.
A little bit. So Floor will be taking over this role in the meeting. So certainly you'll get used to communicating with her effectively. And this is only her second, well, she's only really been here a half day. So give her a little bit of time, but I'm sure she'll be reaching out to all of you. And thank you all for welcoming Floor to our community.
Absolutely.
Will
Feel free. Any questions, let us know.
do.
Thank you. I can't wait to meet you in person.
The other thing I was actually hoping Eliana was gonna be able to make it today. She is resigning from the commission. She got a really cool job in Chicago. And so I think she leaves next week, but she was hoping to be able to come and
Yeah.
say goodbye and tell you guys about it. But anyway, so Brooke will be getting that position posted and
Awesome.
we'll have more on that.
I'm gonna get the link and everything to be able to share it, I'm assuming.
Yep.
So I have people have reached out to me and asking me about it and the positions. And I was like, well, right now since it would full.
Yeah,
Awesome.
share that. And then the one other thing that Brooke and Annette asked me to mention is that on June 4th, we have town party and there will be a volunteer fair, just like we had, or similar to what we had last year. So they have a long list of nonprofits to
Mhm.
invite to the volunteer fair, and we'll send that out to you guys. If you could just take a look at it and let us know if you think we're missing anybody.
For sure, Shannon.
Thank you.
And what time is it?
You know what time the town party starts? Is it like 4?
4 p.m.? Oh.
Yeah.
And where is the party?
Right at the Riverwalk. Like out on the lawn and, yeah, in the parking lot. 4? Yep, so 4 o'clock. Great. All right, that's all I had.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. And now we will go into our subcommittee updates. So our Celebrate Diversity, Community Outreach and Engagement, and Community Education and Influence.
Mhm.
we're all kind of one meeting this month, and we talked about a lot of the similarities between the goals and tactics, especially between community outreach and engagement and community education and influence, and how those two subcommittees can spend their time together, continuing to work on a lot of those tactics effectively as one group, just because they're both kind of small. And I think with the inclusion, because Jotuan's in both of those, I think with the inclusion of Sylvia and Lori, it can really be helpful, because I know the community outreach and engagement did not have anyone who was very familiar with the immigrant community here in Breck. So like kind of reaching out to those communities, like we had ideas, but nothing, I guess, more specific, or that wouldn't be going through Sylvia anyway, but it would have to come to the commission first. So I think having you involved from the start will be very helpful. And then along with having Jotuan and Lori work with like through the college and having their involvement and just kind of that part of our community involved as well from the start of our ideas will be really beneficial. So I think we're going to continue on working as one group. And I think that with the goals and tactics, everything can be achieved without having to go back to our blueprint and combine them.
I like it.
Sounds legit.
That's great. And I don't, Brooke, have you been coordinating those meetings?
Yay.
So it'll be great if you guys can help get Floor up to speed with all that, because I think there's been a lot of change in the last month and a half with how the committee is operating.
For
And
sure.
yeah, that would be great.
And yeah, as I can help out as much as you need, because I think I've been in all of them for the longest.
Probably, yeah. But you've been like to more meetings for sure, so.
So I can do my best to kind of help bring you up to speed on some of the things that we've been working on, and kind of start to, because I know one of the things that we wanted to work on for the next meeting was starting to look at the Scrum document again and start to pick out some of, reevaluate that and pick out some things that we can start working on sooner rather than later. So
Do we have pride?
there was no Pride update from
Okay.
this past meeting, but last month it was when we talked about working more with Dean and the BTO had come in. So we haven't had any Pride updates since then.
Okay, perfect. Just wondering, because it's almost June. So, just saying.
It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah,
Crazy. Perfect. Thank you.
So this month also was celebrating diversity. Brooke made these, and Floor made these amazing pins for Neurodiversity Month. And we currently have a few posts on Facebook. One includes a link to a neurodiversity quiz that was provided by Elsa, a community member who's involved with that subcommittee. So that's really fun. Hopefully everyone gets the chance to take it and a bit to learn more about yourself, because that's awesome.
My boys.
Yeah.
I shared it on my Facebook, so but it's
Me that link.
yeah.
Share it on mine.
So I just love seeing our ideas, like the output of our ideas. And that was one of the things that I said in my post. And it's really cool that the town is so behind us, and a lot of the things that we're working on, we get to see in real life. And then let's see, we have immigration rights and advocacy. They're going to meet with Mountain Dreamers on April 4th. Was there?
We did already. Yeah, April 4th,
I was like,
this month. Yeah. Thankfully, it happened sooner. Do you want to talk about it? No, yeah. We had a very, very, very productive meeting. It
Good.
was over 3 hours long. It was a little overwhelming, I'll have to say.
I think it was a really good example of what you said about having someone who's from the community being able to talk to
Agreed.
that group of people, because had it been just say me, it would not have been, it would not have been the same conversation. So,
It was very passionate. It was very in details, and all of these are the notes from that day that I still have to finish typing up.
This is urgent.
But yeah, urgent. There was a lot of information that came from that meeting and ideas and needs.
Mhm.
I focused a lot on what do you guys need from the town? What can, and it was just very nice to listen to all of this. And I can't wait to start moving all of this information along through the commission as a whole, because they were talking about education, like English classes, like with CMC. They were talking about needs with the youth and after school programs. We were talking about housing. We were talking about recreational programs, things that can be moved on to more than our subcommittee to town council or even other commissions, like our open space and trails, those kinds of stuff that all of this needs attention to help and provide access to the immigrant community, which is amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, and I was able to, because we hear a lot about mountain dreamers,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember when Peter started. I'm very proud of Peter and Carol, the amazing job they have done, and I don't think people realize how much work they do.
Mm-hmm.
And it is amazing. It's really good for our community, and they're not just advocating about the Latin community,
Mm-hmm.
but also about the other immigrants,
Mm-hmm.
like people from other countries, Eastern Europeans, and so it's good, and all the programs that they want or they would like to have implemented and to help our community, which is the same problems that I think we are aware of and we know exist, but we're trying. So it's good to know that we'll have the same goal, even if we're in kind of different type of organizations.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that was kind of eye-opening, even to me as an immigrant, because I've been here for 20 plus years, but it's not just providing their basic needs. It's not like, oh, if we give them a house, they're part of their community. That's not it at all. Like, there's so much work that needs to be done to actually make them a member of our community. Yes.
Yep.
So a lot of that work also has to be done within our like local residents and our other communities, like not just like Hispanic or Black or white, or it's just everybody as a community. And I think that's kind of one of our main goals as this subcommittee, or not subcommittee, a commission as a whole, is to integrate all of those together. So it was just really neat to see all of this happen all at once.
Like the energy was awesome in that. room.
Yeah. So it's yeah, a lot of work that needs to happen. I didn't realize, like, we've all been working really hard, and we're like, oh, it almost like you can almost see a light at the end of it all. But then there's like, oh my God, no, there's so many things that can be done. And it's amazing because we'll know this commission will continue to go on for years and years.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's like, as you're saying, like, I think it's so important for that community to feel like they have their voice, because they do, but I want it to be more bolsterous and giving for, and know that like they can step out and say things and people will hear them, and it's not just like having to go to specific parts of our community. They can say it anywhere and
Mm-hmm.
they'll be heard and
Seen.
how much they're loved and valued. And
Yeah.
And it was part also of, and we all were saying all the time that it was also education, right? And a lot of stuff that they were asking, or the things that they were thinking, is a lot of stuff that we can already trying to do, but they don't know. So it's that, try to reach out and let them know we hear and trying to do that they already asking for, or is a lot of programs that already exist. They're
Mhm.
trying to work on those issues that they have or that we have, and but they just don't know. So that's part of things that we need to work on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's so interesting.
Amazing, because we were talking about like recreation and how everybody needs something to help with stress, you know? And it's like, well, the rec center already provides a lot of exercise classes. Like, do you like biking? Do you like weights? Do you like this? And they're like, when was the last time you went into a yoga class? And I was like, I don't do a lot of yoga. He's like, well, I tried it. I liked it. And I stepped into one of those classes and everybody was staring at me. They're like, even the instructor's like, oh, I don't know if you signed up, but you might be in the wrong spot. And
Oh,
it's
that's so
like,
rude.
I was like, oh my God, I never thought of that. I
Mhm.
never, like, I thought just having a class was important. I never knew, like, having members of that class know what
Yeah.
equity, inclusion, and access and all
Mhm.
that means. And I was like, okay, yeah.
But it's funny because it's something that I never really thought about it, and it is true. Like in the mornings, I see Jordan and Jim, and I usually take in some classes, and I'm really the only Hispanic there. Like, but to me, it's been 3 years that you always go through this, so
Right.
to me, it's normal, right?
Yeah.
But it makes sense, like how big our community is,
Mm-hmm.
and it really nobody does that. And
Mhm.
it's misinformation, and it's like the to be afraid of, right?
Yeah.
And also the people who was there in the meeting is also people who has lost somehow the fear of speak up.
Yep.
Because it's a lot of people also who doesn't even attend to those meetings and they're afraid, they don't know, or they don't feel comfortable enough to sharing that information. So it's-
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. That just makes me think of like my privilege because I was born here. So you know what I mean? And feel like culturally I understand like what goes on. So even when I notice something that's disenfranchising to me, I have that voice to say, we're not doing that. You know what I mean? But I never really thought about that.
Yeah, it's things that you don't realize, and it's what I was saying. Like for example, Sylvia, her situation was
Mhm.
different than me. I came here as an adult,
Mhm.
so for me everything is different, and for her also things had been different. I didn't grow up and being a foreigner on a
Mhm.
different country. I grew up in my country, and I decided to move out later. But as an adult, it's different perspective and it gives you different experiences
Mhm.
as a you being a child growing up here, and also the people who is part of this of like mountain dreamers or their dad expressing their voice is also different, totally different experience than what I have because of my background, the things I have done, so yeah, so it's
Wow.
different for everybody.
Mhm.
And you never really think about that.
You don't.
Mhm.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I wonder, I guess like was talking about internships earlier, like if we have more of the youth of our community interning in more places and more established businesses, if that will like increase the comfort knowing that like, oh, I know someone who works here, like, oh, like I'll go in here and check it out, or like, oh, I know someone who does this youth program, like, oh, we'll send our kids there because we know an older kid who's
That's
a part of it, and
what he was told.
like,
And it's but I feel also there is also education to us as an immigrants or people from other countries. It's also education for the locals and the people who live here, for the white people, to be more receptive and more accepting
Yes.
to the difference and the diversity in our community and everybody, because that's a main thing of them going to the rec center and not feeling comfortable enough because they don't feel welcome because because everybody there is white and you look different. So it's also there, and it's not just on the rec center, but it's everywhere. Everywhere you go, and you get that uh, difference. So treat or even white people feel uncomfortable going to that kind of places, where it's more
Mhm.
Hispanic people probably. So
Mhm.
it has to be the education to everybody to make everybody be comfortable and be okay with everybody being different.
And yeah, she was like, oh, I don't think anybody is mean or rude or intentional. It's just nobody knows, like it hadn't been experienced in the past. She's like, now I walk in and everybody like, hi, how are you doing? Like talking about your weekend. They're trying to even if my English isn't perfect, they try to ask information and know how I am. She's like, but the first time that I walked in there, like it took a lot of courage just because of the scenario and situation that she was in that moment. And I was like, wow.
Takes a lot of
Yes.
courage to walk into a yoga class to begin with,
Right.
but then to have, yeah.
To have that second component
Right.
and aspect of it. So yeah, a lot of this education has to be put out for, like I was telling Isaura, a lot of it is like we don't have what we call civic education. Like we're comfortable throwing trash like anywhere in the sidewalk when there's a specific spot designated for it. Things like that that we need to work on and provide education to our immigrant community. Like, okay, this is a new country and this is a new place and this is how we like to run it and this is why it's such a great place to live in. But also having education to people that've been here all their lives and their heritage has always been in the US, trying to educate on how to better accept or feel more comfortable, I should say, against other community members.
I think like that was, because like when Mountain Dreamers came in and we talked just so much about like how this place is so beautiful and everyone should be able to enjoy it, that it's about the thing that you're doing and enjoying it and enjoying the people around you. And then it doesn't matter where someone may have come from, but you're doing something that you both love, that you shouldn't hold a prejudice against a person because it's like, oh, well, it's not, the person isn't hindering you from doing the thing, but I guess for me, I don't see how some people feel that way. Where it's like, oh, well, that person's here, like I can't have as much fun because I don't understand the language that they're speaking. It's like, no, but you're here to do the same thing. Like the language is the thing, and you can figure out the commonality for that all. So yeah, I'm really excited, and I want more of our community to understand that we're all here to do things, to have fun, and even if you don't necessarily understand the language that someone speaks, you can find a common language through.
Yeah, and I think we need to try to find how we can do it, like to have a meeting with like, I don't know, the people in the rec center or something to, because that was one of the things they were asking, like have like Hispanic instructors. I know that, which I know is gonna be hard, but it is something that we can start try to do. And I don't feel that's gonna be super hard, but it be like even I remember a spinning class one time. They were, what kind of music you wanna hear? I was like, well, I want Latin music, you know, that's what the spinning and you just hear and just hearing this music. Everyone's like, yeah, and I'm like, I had never heard that song before, you know. And to me, it's like whatever. But you know, if we had even that little bit to change it, they doesn't necessarily need to be something like that, or the front desk and the rec center maybe because it's just white people. You never really see nobody else different there, right? So starting for those little changes that they might be little things and it might be more invited to our community.
And it was so nice because they're like, we need Spanish classes. And I'm like, I'm right with you. She's like, but I don't want it to be all Hispanic. I want all types of people in there. And I'm like, ah, so beautiful. Like, yes. So I think that's something that as a town, we could easily work on. And just having like the town council that we can advocate to and just be like, okay, this is what the community's asking. This is how we think should be handled or move forward, which I think is great. So yeah, my 10 goals that we had for immigration subcommittee has turned into 40. So we're going to be passing those along to the other subcommittees.
Perfect. I can't wait.
It was great. It was great, and I couldn't understand 90% of it, but it was fun to watch. It was really like everybody was so engaged and so passionate, and it was long, but it just went by.
Yeah,
Like,
and
there was
not-
just so much
A
conversation.
lot of people didn't have a chance to talk
Right.
as long as they wanted.
We had to
There's everything they
stop
wanted to
everybody
say.
and be like, okay,
Yeah,
you got 30
say-
seconds. What do
yeah.
you want to say? We need to move on to the next person. That's how much they wanted to say.
And they were
So-
prepared, like people
Mhm.
came with things that they wanted to talk about. It was not like, I think, most of our community meetings where people kind of show and they listen a little bit. Like people were there, they had things they wanted to say. So it was really good.
I will definitely need to do follow-ups with them, but first I want to kind of organize this and start working small towards it, and then having something more structural that's created, then go back to them and be like, okay, this is how we plan to move forward. What do you guys think?
Yeah, and that was also like Abigail reached out to me that day, and then
Mhm.
I decided to send you an email, and she called me to the office. So I was like, okay, let me send it right now, otherwise I won't be able to do. But that's the other things, like she had a problem with the program
Mhm.
on her computer to submit her application for the housing. It was a person who was there on the meeting, so she missed her spot on the lottery that she was, because she was not able to upload the application. And if you think about it, yeah, it was her mistake, but it's also something that, like you were saying, probably the town can see on that and try to make it more fair,
Right.
because she didn't have the computer knowledge ability, is what impaired her, put her away from having the house that she needs, you know? So it's one of those issues that, I mean, it happens. Unfortunately, but
And I mean, she might have reached out to you, but I think because we had that meeting, we got information about what had happened where we might not have known.
exactly.
Yeah, I know.
And it's because
Computer center.
she didn't
We, I mean, we have.
get it right away, but we used to take English classes together. We used to be on the college. Remember when we used to start, I invite the whole commission to go to this, we were working on essays, and invite everybody on the commission to go to the college in England.
Yeah.
So she was part of those people.
Oh,
that
okay.
talk and talk about the history.
Yeah.
And everything, so she was one of them. So,
Okay.
So
Okay.
then in that moment, she cannot remember, oh, yeah, I know her. She used to be with me in
Yeah.
the class. And it's how she felt comfortable enough to get
Oh.
close to me and ask me about it.
Good. Good. It's an unfortunate situation, but I'm glad she reached out.
Mhm.
I think we just have one more.
Sorry, we were
That's okay.
talking about the possibility of doing like a
Utilizing the college's resources.
to teach like the Microsoft Office
Mhm.
suite. So like Word would help with learning how to write resumes
Yep.
and like Microsoft Excel, like, you know, doing your own finances without having to pay for a service or
Yep.
just organization. Cause like I used it for like building my computer years ago, just like products that I wanted and a way to keep organized for what I had. And you can make checklists and other things through it.
Yep.
So
Yeah, that's
would-
great. And this was a PDF situation. So
Yes, it was a Acrobat PDF.
Yeah.
Because she even bought the program and everything, but then I guess she didn't know how to send it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly what happened, but.
learning how to export
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
so I know like a lot of that stuff is available like in the Google suite. So it's a lot of it's even just online.
Yeah, how do
so
you
you-
access it?
Right, so you wouldn't even have to download programs to use it. 'Cause like for Google, their version of Excel is called Sheets. And if you have a Google email address, you can use that and have it on all of your devices. Same with Word. They have their own version. So like a lot of that's cloud-based, but if you don't know how to access it, it's not very useful. But if you have an email, you have all of these expensive, powerful programs that are available for free. So that could be something that we could do. And
And I was looking into too, Floor used to be a teacher, or is an instructor while she can, in the ESL department, but trying to figure out ways to hard bake those kind of things into those classes because we already have a targeted population on campus. And trying to figure out ways we can, in effect, you know, crush two birds with one stone. Can we not only provide that English language development, but also provide some of those soft skills, some of those needed skills in terms of how to navigate technology, how to navigate the community. Right, Floor, like we do things like bringing in community care clinic to, you know, to give these communities the access to all of the wonderful services that they can get provided through those sorts of organizations in the community. And I do have an eye towards, okay, now that we have these individuals here on campus, can we go even deeper beyond just offering that English language, but also this is how you can engage the community. This is how you engage technology. Just giving people the tools that they need to fully be a part of Summit County.
Yeah, that,
Yep. Right.
Like resume, and job search vocabulary.
Yep.
Just learning it, right? And then I had another class in advance where I actually helped them like officially write their letter, write their resume. So I'm wondering, like, putting those kinds of things in each level, and it doesn't have to be like full on, it could be a bit according to each level.
Yep. That's why we're looking at those curriculum series to try to allow that sort of flexibility and that responsiveness, I guess, to community needs while also meeting the, you know what I mean? Like also hitting those benchmarks of this is what we need to learn, but also being flexible and responsive towards, okay, beyond the textbooks. This is also what we need to learn.
And if we were to use like a cloud-based system, you could save on paper too, because you could just have a shared email access. So that way any kind of professor could just go into the document with a student and be able to type and update with them, or type notes for corrections. So that way you wouldn't have to print paper for everything. So just the sustainability in there.
And I always want to keep reminding like everybody why we're doing this, like why we're doing this. Even adding some of that into the curriculum, there might be some pushback. It's like, oh, I'm here to learn English. I don't want to know about computers. I don't use computers in my job. It's like, well, this could help you with this. This could help you with housing. This could help you with, so it's very important that you learn this now and just providing more. But one thing I wanted to say is expanding what we already have. One of the comments that was a lot talked about was how CMC has a lot of Spanish classes or ESL classes in Dillon, but not the same as being offered in Breckenridge.
You know, people who want to teach, that would be awesome because that's the biggest hindrance right there. I am desperately trying to build up my roster of ESL instructors because I see it. There is a need to offer those classes here. It's just traditionally the bulk of the courses have been in Dillon. And for me coming into this role, I didn't want to take away from what I know is already working quite well and lose those resources. But yes, if you know individuals in our community that would love to help teach our students English, please send them my way. Because that is my goal for the fall, is to start to open up more classes here on the Breckenridge side of town. So we're moving towards the same direction.
Yeah, we were just talking, they're like, well, you know, having to take the bus
Yep.
to Frisco and then Dillon, and it's
The
all
accessibility.
for like evening by the time you get home.
Yep.
And then you still have dinner to cook. And I was like, yes, I understand why you're not going to English.
Yeah, I'm hoping we can get that this fall. Like I said, I'm trying my best to build that roster up to be able to offer some classes over here.
Awesome.
Yeah, we do have a class in the morning in Breck, but I do see the need to, for instance, yeah, if we could offer a class 6 to,
Yeah.
6 o'clock time block here on this side of the town. Yes, I see it coming. I see it coming. And especially too, like where I live at, near Breck Building Supply, what are they changing the name to that community now? Verde Vistas or whatever, right? Like I'm seeing it. That's what, 3 bus stops away from CMC Breckenridge right there. And so I'm like, how awesome would it be for me to be able to offer a class? That's the goal. That's the goal, Flora. I'm trying to get some more instructors to be able to do that.
Kirk is moving down there
Yep.
as well.
Yep, you can see it coming. I saw that last August though. Oh yeah, I need to offer classes in Breckenridge for sure. Now an individual gets off at 5, they can go home, take care of what they need to do if they live in Breckenridge, hop on the bus if they need to, or take the short drive to the campus. So it's coming. Just need some more instructors.
Awesome. And if everyone's okay, we'll move on to civic engagement.
Yeah.
Anyone have any more comments for the last? Perfect. Yes. Dutuan, you were you and Lori?
Yeah, so I was the only one, or I'm the only one here from that one. And me, Lori, and Shannon, and I was kind of in an interesting spot with that one because I was on the road last one? 2 Wednesdays ago now?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 Wednesdays ago. But we were looking at that scoring matrix for the grant applications. And I think we were able to kind of nail down a little bit easier, I think. Well, first of all, we were able to try to align some of the weights of those categories or criteria for the grant more closely to the goals of this commission, making sure that those that, for instance, like grant applications that fully aligned or as fully as possible aligned with our goals would most likely get, you know what I mean, a higher score or a higher rating. I think we tried to clean up the language with a few of those criteria to make, because a few of them were just confusing, like what was the spirit of this? And so we tried to make it a little bit more connected to the spirit of what the goals of this commission is. And then tried to clean up the scoring process to make it a little bit more easier for us as individuals to be looking at it, to see where an organization would fall with each of those criteria, and ultimately what their overall score would be in terms of how much money they would be awarded. Haven't seen the feedback yet from my comments that I forgot when I added those comments about converting the points to something that was a little bit more
It was last week.
measurable.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're hoping to see what we can do if this is something that we can move forward with. I kind of like where it is right now, but I'd love to hear others' feedback in terms of the scoring. Is it an easy metric to measure a organization's responsiveness to this group's goals and in an effort to try to get them those funds? And so yeah, we'll see where it's at. I just used like a little bit of my former teacher brain in terms of how to convert something from a number system to a, hey, if they have this amount of points, then this is, this is where they would fall. Kind of like a excellent, very good, good, below average sort of a rating.
So I think maybe we just give Carol, Lori a chance to respond to that rating system, which Jo Tuan and Lori are the best people to do that since that's what they do or have done. And then I think we're really, really close and can bring this back to the commission in May and roll it out. So,
We can roll it, yeah.
yeah.
I kind of like where we are. So,
Yeah.
from where we started with the
Mhm.
idea of this grant matrix to, hey, we actually have something now.
Right. Yeah.
I hope it's actionable.
I think it looks pretty good. So,
Did you have any other comments on that meeting, Shana?
no, the only, I don't know if Brooke has anything or if Jo Tuan wants to mention, I got on a few minutes late and Brooke had chatted with them about coffee talks and happy hours. So I think the plan is to try to set one up for May 23rd at RMU. So that we were hoping for that date because there's some other activities and events kind of in the month of May. So we thought that probably would work best. And we're just hoping that it works well for the commission.
May 23rd?
Yeah, be a Thursday evening. That sounds good. Okay.
Yeah.
It's
You're across from
like across from Eric's.
Eric's, yeah, across from Eric's.
Perfect.
So yeah,
It's
good. How would you describe it? Yeah.
Ski shop,
Ski
bar.
shop, bar,
RMU.
May 23rd, 4:30, right?
today.
4:30, right?
I can make the latter half of that. I get out of work at 5.
Man, that's fine, whatever works for.
I'm sorry, you said 4 or 4:30?
4:30?
4:30.
And actually Carol and Kelly Owens, who's our incoming mayor, they did like a happy hour kind of thing last summer there for the bike. Yeah, they did I don't know if they actually ended up writing because it was a stormy evening. But anyway, it was actually a really good space to do it. And we got a fair number of people. So I think it could work out pretty well.
The topic?
And I think it was outlined in the meeting minute or in the agenda, but it's basically like talking about what you guys are doing, what each subcommittee is accomplishing, your goals, that sort of
Updates.
thing, and
June, did you catch that? No. Okay. So having commissioners there to talk about what the commission does, what the goals of the commission are, give some, you know, overview of the work you've been doing and then open it up for question and answer. Okay. For the upcoming council, Scott put in the packet what's coming up next Tuesday, which is, it's a pretty light agenda because we'll be swearing in the new council and then doing some organizational items with them, like good governance and council goals and, or council rules and things like that. The next meeting after that will be May 14th. It's a council retreat. So for the first 4 hours, we'll be over at Beaver Run. It is open to the public and we'll be posting it. And we'll have some more conversation around norms and, again, more talking about having the council have an opportunity to talk about how they want to operate as a group. And then we'll be talking about the council goals. And one of the things that we heard from them last year is the idea of incorporating DEI into all of the existing goals, not having it be a separate goal, but how does it get incorporated into all of that? And so the BTO will be working with us on that portion of the presentation, because we basically, the council goals come from the destination management plan. And so those two are tied together. So we'll be having that joint conversation with the council on how we do that. And then we'll also be having a presentation on what we're calling the Runway Housing Project, which is the 100 homes that we'll be building out on Block 11, where the free skier parking is. So that'll be a big project that we hope to start spring of next year. So if you're interested, or anyone is interested in hearing about that housing project, we'll be talking about that as well. Happy to answer any questions if you have any. Okay.
If that is all, are there any other matters or public comment? No, cool. Then I would like to adjourn today's meeting, and I just need a second.
A second.
Well, thank you so much, everyone.
We did
for
have
coming.
Carol on too.
Oh, hi, Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Love y'all.
Love you. Love you, June. Feel better.